Okay, so today I'm going to work, and this is probably going to be a multi-day project, but I'm going to work on a new display stand for the wand so I can do some video shorts and, do some kind of dramatic effects and have the wand in a nice, really nice looking stand and stuff. And I decided that I wanted to make the base out of stone, and I haven't done any stone working before. I've done on camera. I've done a fair amount of small collectibles several years ago, so I have some stone working tools. So I've kind of dug those out of storage, and we're in the dirty side of the. I have one section here that is actually more utility for like working on my vehicles and stuff like that. But I have a small wet metalworking section here. But this will work good enough to do some small stone work. So what I've done, these are pieces of scrap granite countertop that I just procured for free out of the trash pile at a local place that does granite countertops for like kitchens and bathrooms and stuff. And if you ever want to mess with this stuff, usually you can get just find somebody. Most of your medium to large size towns have got someplace that does, granite countertops and stuff for kitchens. And a lot of times they'll let you pull stuff out of their dumpster for free. So if you want a few scrap pieces of this, that works pretty well. This is a quartz base. And I think that I want to use this. And what I did starting off, and definitely when you're doing this stuff, always make sure that you're wearing safety goggles. I've got a few different tools. This little rock hammer works really well for roughing some stuff in. And I'm just putting this on the edge of, a good solid base. This my anvil here. And you can kind of work it slow to rough it in with this. It also works really well in combination with a hammer. So I can put this on the corner and take off chunks kind of where I want them, like that. And then as I get this closer to the shape I want, then I'll use like a little chisel or something along these lines to kind of refine those shapes. The tough part about quartz, and especially the natural stone countertops, is a lot of times they're going to have natural grain and veins going in with the stone itself, and you sometimes just don't know when you're hitting this. You better have some extra, because you're going to hit it over here, and there'll be a crack that you can't see somewhere in the middle of this, and it'll just like fall off. So that's something you have to be aware of. This piece was actually pretty good. And so what I've got is a couple of nice pieces here that I think what I'm going to do is I want to stack this, and I think I want to put a light in here as well. So I'm going to be doing some metalworking, stoneworking, but I've got these pretty well roughed in to generally how I want them to be. The only problem is that this particular scrap doesn't have a very nice polished face. So I'm going to take this outside. It's a little bit chilly still, but I'll show you the stuff that I've got, some diamond pads for polishing, and this is really, really messy work. And it's usually best done in the heat of the summer because it's also wet. So it's going to get all over the place, but I'll film a little bit of that. I'll try to keep the camera out of the water and show you all, just kind of how I'm going to rough these in and get these going. Okay, it's going to be kind of tough to show this one because I don't want to get the camera too close. It's just going to end up covered in stuff. What I'm using this is just a variable speed angle grinder, and it's got this little polishing pad, and these come in different grits. And they're just numbered on the back, the different numbers, and we'll go all the way up through 3,000 and then a buff on this. And I've got a couple of scrap pieces to kind of hold it down by weight. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on this, so it shouldn't be a problem. And then I just got a little hose. They actually make specialty tools that are just for this. But if an angle grinder works pretty well as long as you can set it down to the low speed setting, because you don't want this to go very fast. These are diamond polishing pads here. And you need the water on there to cool it. It does several things. It cools the pad, keeps it from wearing out so quickly, provides a little bit of lubrication for the cutting. And the other big thing is the dust. You really do not want to be breathing in this dust. You can get what's called silicosis from it. So having, dust protection and the right safety gear, goggles, and all that kind of stuff's really important. So, but these are pretty small pieces. So I'll just kind of show you really basic how I done it. What I did is I put a little scrap piece of leather underneath here to raise this up just a little bit above these pieces so I can work this top surface down. And so, yeah, we'll just work through that and we'll go up through all of our grits. And that's really all there is to it. It's just like anytime you're sanding and polishing anything else, you just have to have the right tools. If you're working with stone, then you got to have diamond pads or diamond to be able to cut it. So we'll go with the 200 and then we'll run up through the system. Okay, so we've got these good to go. I've got to get these dried off. We'll go to the next step after that, but I just wanted to give you a quick look at what it looked like so far. Kind of hard to see exactly how shiny they'll be, but trust me, they're much better polished now. The only other thing that I did want to mention, safety wise, anytime you're working with electric and water, you want to make sure that you have a GFI interrupt GFI switch on your electrical outlet in case you get any type of short with the water. That'll kick that off so you don't end up electrocuting yourself. So I've got those built into my system there, but GFI switch also something really important. So anyways, I'm gonna go and get dried off. Pretty much soaking wet at this point, dripping water, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, so next step, what I decided to do was I'm just going to use the smaller piece. I'm going to make a simpler, I guess, sort of a prototype, because I think I can just recreate this from that other scrap piece to do a larger one that I think I'll do with maybe some lights and stuff like that. But for now, I want to try to do a more basic, simple, so I can kind of refine the design and see how I like it. But what I need to do is I want to have some wire, some copper wire coming up to actually make the holder for the wand itself. And I need to have a hole to affix that wire in this stone. So I've got a diamond bit on here, and I've got this in a small little tub of water here. And it's just covering the surface so that I'm going to get water cooling on this bit. And that's important on these, that you make sure you keep these water cooled. And I'm just using my scrap or my small table top drill press here that I usually use for leather buffing, because I'm not going to go up to the wood shop and for a whole big setup for just one little piece here. And this will work fine, but I'm gonna readjust this to go really slow. And we'll get a hole drilled down just probably about a ½ an inch or so, and that'll give me somewhere to put the wire and stuff in. So the trick with this is going nice and slow, taking your time. And I'm backing this out like multiple times, back up into the water, and allow that water to get around that bit and make sure that it's staying cool. And you don't want to be pressing too hard on this either. You want to go at just a light pressure, let it work for a few seconds, and then back it off. If you've got set up with a water pump and stuff, you can actually have the water like flowing directly onto the bit. Again, for this, I'm not doing a whole bunch of stuff with big deep cuts or anything. So, I'm kind of doing it a little bit of a cheater way. And this will work fine for doing a small bit like I'm doing. Okay, I want to check my depth. That's not too bad. I think I want it just a little bit more than that. So we're really close though. When you're doing a lot of drilling or you got several stones and stuff to do, it's a lot better to have a bigger tub of water that you can have fresh water circulating in and the dirty water circulating out to a different bucket. And that way you can kind of see what you're doing, because this water gets cloudy really fast. So all right, that looks pretty good. I think I've got this hole plenty deep enough to get some epoxy in there to hold our wire in. So we're gonna get this dried off, and we'll get into the metalworking. Okay, so this is the wire that I want to use, and this is just some scrap electrical wire that I've taken the insulation off. The thing with this is this wire needs to be annealed so that you can bend it and work it properly. And I'm just going to heat this up to just a dull red glow, just where it's just starting to glow is fine. And then I'll show you how to get it nice and straight. There's a trick that I use for that. Once I get this annealed, so it'll be really easy to bend into shape, and then we'll go to the work on it here. But once I get this done, I'll show you how I straighten it up and make it good for doing some wire work with.
Well, apparently I failed to catch that one little part on video and instead recorded some additional footage I didn't intend to. Shame on me. But real quick, all I did was, once you get that the wire annealed properly with the heat, if you lay it down on the flat plate, like right there where the stone's sitting, I lay it on that flat plate of steel there, and then I just take another plate and roll it back and forth, kind of like when you used to roll out the Play-Doh and kind of make to make a snake. And when you press those two plates together and you roll them back and forth, then that's going to straighten that wire. And that's how these wires here that I'm cutting are all nice and straight. So that's works really well for straightening wire. Hey, a big shout out to all of my member subscribers as well. Thank you so much for your support. It's really going to help out. And if you would like to be a member subscriber as well, you can just click that little membership button down there. I've got some inexpensive options there and some different perks for the different tier lists as we build the channel. It'll help us get some better video and do some get some more materials to do some more extravagant and interesting builds as well in the future. So also, if you would like to do just a one-time donation, we also have added the super thanks button as well, so you can just do a one-time donation, and that's very much appreciated.
Okay, so my next step here, now this was the smallest drill bit that I had, because this was actually for a different project, but that's fine. It's just a little bit bigger than the wires that I wanted to use for this. So what I've done is I actually had a piece of copper tubing that was just the right size. I checked ahead of time, so that's going to fit my hole perfectly, and I'm going to use that to hold all my wires together. And these 3 wires I'm going to use for the main piece of it. There's still going to be a lot of gap, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these 3 short little. These are a thinner diameter than the other one. And it just so happens that the 3 long ones and these 3 little short ones that I'm going to make decorative fit perfectly into this piece of copper tubing that I've made. So once I get that soldered together and I'll have all these coming out, then I can do the decorative work on it. So we'll get to that. This is actually rather time consuming, so I'll do a lot of editing on this.
Hey, just a quick reminder that if you haven't already hit that thumbs up button, if you take about a half a second to do that, it really does help out the channel, and we really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Alrighty then, so we'll let that cool off, and then I can start doing some shaping. Okay, so I'm going to try to get this actually close enough where you can kind of see in detail. It's really hard to do that because the camera gets too close to the flame, but this is on a long piece of wire here, so I can get in a little bit closer if I just move the supports over close. But it's pretty straightforward. I've got these curls kind of bent down so that they're going to be flat on the and touch the stonework, but I want to make sure that they're supported, so I'm just going to braze right here at the curl where it touches, and so I'm going to see if I can do that where the camera can actually see what's going on.
Hey, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to take a moment and slide down and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that bell icon, and that way you'll get notified anytime that we post any new content.
The hard part about doing this is that the copper will actually get hot enough to melt if I'm not careful. So I want the brass to melt, but not the copper. So I'm just trying to get a little dot right there where these pieces meet. Without getting the copper so hot. It's those little end pieces of copper that are those freestanding ends that are the tough part. There we go. All right, so that's kind of a close-up of what I'm doing. I'll probably edit out a fair amount of this just because I can't get most of this. I'm not able to get close enough to where you can actually see what's going on. So hopefully you'll be able to see a little bit of that on camera. So I'll have to edit down to see what works. But anyways, that's the general idea. Okay, so you can see I've got this just kind of placed down in my stone base for a bit, so I can figure out shape-wise what I want to go with here. But as you can see, that those all kind of touch. That way, when I get the epoxy on down inside that hole, these are going to be supported a bit. And the idea is I want this wand to stick straight up and down in here. So when the wand goes in, it'll stand straight. And so I'm going to have just some kind of decorative. These pieces right here are just going to be kind of a decorative spirally. Something to come up about 6 or 7 inches tall, and then they'll come back together, and I'll put a little ring there so that the wand will stay straight up and down. So that's my plan. We'll see how that goes. All right, so here's where we got to today. I've got a little ring raised onto the top here, and then I've put the twist in it. So that's going to work pretty well for getting just kind of holding the wand. It's not very supported, but I mean the wand itself, they're lightweight. So I'm not sure if I want to put some supports on here. I kind of thought about maybe doing some additional support wires kind of on going across the other direction, but I'm not sure that's going to need it. But it's getting late and it's time to feed the animals, so we're going to call it a night and come back in tomorrow and try to finish this up. Well, as you can see, I did decide to go ahead and put some support structures on here. So I've got these ones going down the opposite direction of the spiral. So that's going to add a little bit of support. So I'm just going to go ahead and braze up these center joints here. I've already got the ends on each one of these supports on, and once I get this on, that's going to give me a little bit more stability. The weight was fine as far as holding the wands, because there's not a lot of weight to the wands, but I just felt like just longevity, just moving this around and bumping it around, that this wire would get too easily bumped. This isn't something that I think it would sell, just because it is a little bit easy to bend out of shape, and for something that I was going to sell to a customer, I'd want something that was a little bit less fragile. But for doing product photos, I think this is going to be nice. Okay, so at this point, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do some cleanup on it, do a little bit of straightening, and get the wires, curved and smooth and everything else. And once it's cleaned up, then we'll go to the finish work. All right, so here's what I finally ended up with. Worked out pretty good. As you can see, I've got it on my little turntable here. So of course the turntable is loud, but I edited out the sound anyways. But that's going to work, I think, pretty good for displaying the wands. Let's see if I got one here. So yeah, as you can see, I think that's going to work really pretty nice. Of course, these would be for vertical formats for the wands. I'd be doing these in a vertical shot, because this is mostly for doing shorts and stuff. But yeah, as far as the vertical display goes, I think this is going to work. It's nothing fancy, but I think it's going to work pretty nice for the shorts we're going to see here shortly.